An update from Nanga Parbat in Pakistan. More info on Hillary Dawa and his recovery. And I'm probably going to rant a little bit more about green boots. It's your Everest Live Daily Dispatch for July 6, 2026, just a few days after the 250th anniversary of American Independence Day. Congrats to everybody who celebrates. And it's World Cup time for everybody else, but also including some Americans who have taken a cue from the Nepali authorities in terms of managing Mount Everest for the way that we are now managing red cards at the World Cup. Sorry about that, everybody. So from Nanga Parbat, we've gotten some reports coming back in. It's difficult in Pakistan. There's very little connectivity on the mountains. Everything's coming in over sat texters and that kind of thing. But it's been a successful season on Nanga Parbat so far, with many companies putting people on the summit, including 8K expeditions, which had 14 people, that's clients, as well as Sherpa and Pakistani high altitude workers. And then there's also 14K expeditions led by our good friend and brother, Benny Lieber. Benny designed, of course, these wonderful limited edition Everest hats, which you're going to be seeing in our web store extremely soon once I get around to it, which I will get around to it incredibly soon. And you'll hear all about it. Thank you, Benny, for working with us on that. These are limited edition hats, and they're going to go fast. So jump on it when you get the chance. So now in Pakistan, what we're seeing is everyone's moving over to the Gasherbums, G1 and G2. Once those kind of get climbed, people will move over to K2. Broad Peak is in there as well. So, it's interesting in Pakistan. The climbing there, from what I understand, is much different than what you see in Nepal. There are joint teams of Pakistani high altitude workers, but there's a lot of really experienced, the cream of the crop of the Nepal Sherpas and rope fixers, and everybody are over there working together. What's also cool about Pakistan is that the ropes are fixed by the teams in collaboration. There isn't sort of a set of icefall doctors or a rope fixing team. It's something that's still old school, where everybody gets together, they figure it out, and they get up to the top. So that's exciting stuff. We hope that the season continues safely. Benny has got a few more mountains to guide. He did become the 9th U.S.-born person to reach the summit of Nanga Parbat and the first American guide. So congrats to him and everybody else who accomplished their dreams in Pakistan so far this season. Let's hope that it continues safely. Right, other updates. Hillary Dawa, he is doing great. It's looking like the doctors are saying that it's very unlikely that he's going to need any kind of amputations for the frostbite on his fingers. It's just going to take a long time for those to recover. And for the hairline fractures in his femur, those are also looking really good, and that surgery is probably not necessary. So it's still a long road to recovery, but he's doing great. Within that, I'm also really, really proud to say that, the GoFundMe and our kind of Hillary Dawa support team, we raised 8.6 million rupees for him, or 86 lakh, which is really a life-changing amount of funds. And thank you to every single person who contributed. It is a very, very noble cause. Hillary Dawa will not be able to return to the mountains. His family's breadwinner, their path to income has basically ended with this tragedy. And of course, we're not expecting to see anything from the agency that employed him. So this amount is really going to help him absorb the blow of the loss of income from this season, also from the medical expenses and all the other expenses incurred. But it is something that the family plans to put into an interest-bearing account. So it will help him, his family, his wife, and his daughter for many, many years to come. And I think this and his quick recovery, all the good news for Hillary Dawa, is probably due to all of our karmic energy, positive energy heading his way. So thank you to everybody who made that possible and who have been a part in his life. There's a lot of stuff afoot in terms of telling his story on a bigger platform. But time will tell as to how and when that all shakes out. And then the last topic I wanted to talk about that's been in the news, I'm sure everybody's been reading about it, has been the continuing saga of Dorje Mondup, or Green Boots, on the Chinese side of the mountain, abandoned in 1996. Green Boots was a landmark on the north side of Everest. He was in a cave that was sort of became a placemaker on the mountain for climbing teams, and it's been up there now for well over 2 decades, almost 3 decades. Suddenly, there's been a spur of interest in recovering the body by the Indo-Tibet Border Police, the ITBP, which is the Indian Army or police segment that sponsored his climb initially. The ITBP has been involved, has sponsored Everest expeditions for many, many years, dating back into 1996. Last year, they had a team on Everest. This year, they had an all-women's team on Everest who actually, they were so cool. Those young women were just killer. They had a 100% success rate. They climbed so hard. They had such great attitudes. And so this is a continuation of a long tradition. And it's getting a lot of media. But what I find interesting and what I wanted to kind of rant about or bring to mind is this seems to be a part of what of a trend in modern Everest climbing, which is sort of um boast first and figure it out later, for lack of a better way to put it. But it's something that we're seeing a ton. You're seeing it during the season as well. We saw it with the Project Unbreakable guys who were going to do the world's highest base jump, but they didn't know exactly where they were going to do the base jump from. But you start with the PR and the publicity. You make the claims. I'm going to go on to Everest and do this unbelievable thing. And then you don't always do your homework. But if it doesn't work out, you've still got the publicity. And I'm suspecting that something like this is what's happening with the ITBP and the recovery of Green Boots' remains. There's a bunch of problems with this whole project that I want to kind of list out. And I haven't been able in all my research to figure out how they plan to solve these problems. The first problem is that the north side of Everest is actually really difficult place to get the body off of. The climb is along a ridge. You have to move along the traverse. It's very, very difficult to do like a litter carry, to drag the body, to wrap it up in a bunch of foam and just kind of, rappel down certain pitches. This is going to probably be a full-on body carry and recovery and haul. Like, it's really physically risky and difficult. The north side of Everest is more dangerous, not more dangerous, but it's colder. It's more exposed. It's a longer climb with more technical parts. How they're going to actually get the body off, I'm not sure. It is something that different expedition agencies can throw enough manpower and expertise and logistics at that they could probably get done. But that doesn't bring up the second thing that I'm not sure about is they're talking about having this wrapped up by the fall. So they're going to be climbing the north side of Everest during the monsoon when the weather is terrible, where the winds are high, and there's massive amounts of snow, creating massive avalanche risk and a host of other problems, including just finding the body once it's buried under feet and feet of snow that's not getting blown off by winds. The other thing, so I don't know how they're going to solve that. It doesn't seem to be well thought through to me, but I don't know. Maybe this is something the media is getting wrong. But the biggest issue that I have no idea how is going to be solved, and I could be proven wrong with this, but what I just don't understand is that this is the Indo-Tibet Border Police. It's not the Indo-China Border Police. It's not the Indo-Chinese Autonomous Region of Tibet Border Police. India and China are currently in the middle of a long-standing conflict along the northern border of India, especially the northwestern border. And this is just an issue. China and India are not like super chummy. China has a very, very strict one nation policy. They don't like the using of the word Tibet. There's been a lot of issues within China where they're trying to use the Chinese name, the Han Chinese name of Xi'an for Tibet instead. So the fact that the Indo-Tibet Border Police is calling itself the Indo-Tibet Border Police is a bit of an FU to China just in the name. Not to mention this is a military expedition to recover a fallen military comrade. I have no idea how they expect to get the permits to go up and do this, as this is squarely within China's territory. And China, as many of you know who followed, they shut down all climbing on the north side of the Himalayas this year, including Everest climbing to non-Chinese expeditions. And the word on the street that I'm hearing is that this isn't going to change anytime soon. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 years potentially before we see climbing open to anything on the north side other than Chinese research expeditions. It's all about, non-commercial activities are allowed in the national park now in China. So maybe the ITBP knows something I don't. Maybe there's some heavy discussions going on in the diplomatic channels. Maybe they're just going to throw a lot of money at a Chinese outfitter. But all of that stuff is incredibly unprecedented. And to me, it sort of flies in the face of the media moment that's very much about bringing this fallen comrade home, which I think is great. I appreciate the sentiment. I think getting bodies off a mountain, of course, is the right thing to do. But there's very little information on how they're actually going to pull it off. So let's wait and watch. But my guess, my money, is not on this thing happening anytime soon. I think Green Boots has been up there for a long time. And my guess is he will continue to be for a long time to come. So more soon. Enjoy the World Cup, everybody. And we'll keep you posted. Look out for the hats in the next day or two and get them while they last. Thanks a lot.